Hour 2 Overdrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Bryan Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles McLennan will head to Edmonton ahead of Game 3 tonight. Later this hour, Ryan Rishaug will join us. Mike Johnson coming up here in a moment. We chatted with our friend Jonas Siegel yesterday, and someone called me Jonas on Twitter last night because... Well, I tweeted out something factual, which I generally don't do. I mean, Jonas finds notes and he tweets things out.
Was it spreading the wealth tweet?
Yes, which I found interesting because I have been very intrigued by, the amount of minutes being played, and how Berube's utilizing his bench. And only 2 Maple Leafs played over 20 minutes last night, Jake McCabe and Morgan Riley, and no one played less than 10.
That's where I think experience comes into play, where a guy could say, if you're going to go the distance, and I've won a Stanley Cup, so I know, you can't have your best players playing 24, 25, 26 minutes in a series because guess what's going to happen? They're going to have nothing in the tank as early as round 2. So that's not the way it's going to fly. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. Especially in games like this. Like, I think it would be different. If Ottawa was up 3-2 in the third, you have to play Matthews more. You got to play Marner more. But they haven't been in that position through 3 games.
It seems like in the past when, and this isn't a shot at Key, but those guys would basically change their own lines.
They were on the ice so much.
Dude, it was like,
it was crazy.
Don't look, coach, because I'm changing. They changed their own lines.
Yeah.
I want to go out there.
And the 12 forward would play 5 minutes. And
they were built differently, too. The trust
were.
in the 12 forward was probably not as high as or gaining trust. Pacioretty,
I liked that line last night.
It was fine, yeah. I thought they had some good pop physically early on, and that's where it'd be interesting to see if he keeps this same lineup or there's a little bit more of a tweak. And then I always say this, knock on wood, there hasn't been, they're healthy, knock on wood. They're not. You haven't had somebody leave a game. So that's, you keep that going. There is going to, the longer you go, the more you play, there is going to be some bumps and bruises and stuff like that. But, with everybody intact, this is what you're able to do. You're able to spread it well. And when you're up in the game, you can attack it a little bit differently when you trust your third and fourth lines to give you minutes, not just to kill minutes for your other lines to go out, but to give you the minutes that are important. Mm-hmm. So I think that's why you were Jonas Hayes last night.
I
going,
was.
Hey, this is what I'm pointing out. But it's a fair point. Look at how balanced that is. Because
I think it's an important part of the storyline that, again, he's got faith in different lines. We had Jason York on, and he brings up a very good point. You look at the middle of the ice, Matthews, Tavares, Domi, Lawton. Those are 4 guys who are, 27 and up. All have played in the league for a long time. All have played a lot of playoff games. And that's the middle of your ice. And that's where – and then you look at defense. Simone Benoit is the guy who you would consider would be the most raw of the group. And he's not 19 or 20 years old. He's in his mid-20s, late 20s, and he's played the last couple of years. And, I think, again, it's 3 games, and it's gone the Leafs' way, and they've earned the bounces, but they've gotten the bounces the last 2 games. Game 1 was something they earned because they ran away with it, and they played very well. But I really do think, there's separate conversations when you talk about the team building where, the core 4 or the core 5, you want to add Riley in there. He had another point last night. Morgan Riley's been here a long time, and he's playing very, very well. But Berube, I've been saying this since Game 1. Berube, Stolarz, Tanev, Carlo, Ekman Larson. That's 5 pieces that I think have had such a massive, massive impact on the way this team plays and the way they're composed. And it probably starts with a coach and his approach and him demanding they play a certain way and him chipping away saying, I'm telling you, once we get there, this is how it's got to work.
I know. Remember at the beginning of the season, all the analytics nerdos were saying these guys dump the puck in too much. Maybe we know somebody that wants to get into that.
Well, I believe you're referencing our good friend Mike Johnson, who I believe Johnny said as early as 2 weeks ago, this is not as good of a team as the one we saw last year or in years past, for that matter.
You're going to bring him on and take a shot at him already.
I'm going to ask if he wants to revise that, if he still holds that opinion. This is like 60 minutes, man. We got to hold.
Really, a couple Larry Kings here.
Journalism is very important on this program. Jonas Hayes. Here's Mike Johnson, our TSN hockey analyst. Go ahead, Johnny. The floor is yours.
Take it back.
Thanks for the nice warm welcome, fella.
Yeah, really.
I appreciate
honest
it.
to God. Like, I'm trying to save you here, Johnny. These two are like just on their high horse, just firing
here's one thing,
darts at
Johnny.
you.
These guys are assuming I referred to you as an analytics nerd. I said there was some analytics nerds complaining about the lack of playmaking and that Leafs were dumping the puck in too much, and that's not their identity, and they're not playing to their identity. And these two guys said, well, that would be Mike Johnson.
Yeah, Noodles said that, actually, I believe.
Noodles did, yes.
What are you talking
painting
about?
a picture that's inappropriate.
You know what? We could go back to the tape of as recent as 90 seconds ago. That is not true at all. You said you took a shot at Johnny saying these analytic nerds, and you go, let's get to Johnny, and then that's when Hayes goes, yes, let's call out Johnny for his as recent as how many? 2 weeks ago you said this?
Well, am I wrong? I mean, I'm just pointing it out.
I don't know.
Okay, so hang on. Let me just address what you just said.
Yep.
Yes.
I said that they were playing differently. They were not as dominant 5-on-5 in their current style of play as they were in years past. They are playing a team that was the second lowest scoring team in the league 5-on-5. And I think you would say, yes, they're winning. They're up 3-0. They've won 2 overtime games. I'm not here to diminish that at all. But to suggest that somehow this has been an overwhelmingly dominant 5-on-5 performance by the Toronto Maple Leafs against the Ottawa Senators, I would call that fake news, or Hayes, because that's not true. That has held true. So I'll stand by my comments. They're absolutely true. Now, are goalies allowed to be part of your team? Yep. Are power plays allowed to be part of your team? Yep. I never commented on any of that. In fact, I said they probably got better goals than they've had in years all year long. So I stand correct. Not corrected. I just stand correct still. That's how I look at it.
Okay.
I'm not sure about any of that. I'm not sure about any of that, Johnny. But Hayes just mentioned some key additions. Berube, Stolarz, Tanev, Ekman, Larson. Who would you think of the group he just mentioned would be at the top of the most important? You think it's a coach?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think given, in all seriousness, how different they are approaching the way they play now versus in years past, that starts with a coach. It's got to get the guys to buy in to play a system that, maybe not quite as comfortable for them, not quite as natural for them. And, I mean, even that clip of him telling Mark Savard to settle down, which I think is amazing. Like, just the whole idea. He's calm. He expects a certain way that they play. And when they do it, he trusts that they'll be successful. So I started with Craig Berube because there was a lot of changes that he sort of needed to implement. And he had to get the guys to buy the fact that if they play this lower event style, lower risk, lower reward, trust that we will be able to defend our way in tight games with good goaltending and timely scoring to win, they had to buy in what he's preaching. And he's done a good job of getting them to buy in. And the guys have done a good job buying what he's selling because they're executing it and they're winning games right now. And then after that, I would say Tanev. I mean, you go out and get the preeminent shutdown defender. If you want to try to reinvent your team a little bit as a team that's comfortable defending, go out and get the best guy. They did. He has been that. And they're all part of how this team is different this year than years past.
Yeah, the McCabe-Tanev pairing is a very comforting pairing to have on the ice. Like they play with poise. They've got some physicality, a little bit of bite. They haven't had to use it that much, but they are under control when they're on the ice. Very noticeable.
Yeah. And the fact of the matter is, so far in this series, they haven't had to ride those guys too hard. Mm-hmm. Which, if you don't want to get greedy, don't want to get ahead of ourselves, we can. The players shouldn't. But like the fact that they can get through this series in the fewest games possible without taxing McCabe coming off injury. Tanev has hard miles on him. Those guys are playing, 20, 22 minutes at times, with a third pair playing 16, 17, 18. That all bodes well to how they should feel if they want to take this thing for 6 more weeks.
Johnny, before we get back into the hard hitting and you having to defend yourself, were you really upset about the Cousins Stolarz transaction in warm up? I mean, I didn't even know about it until obviously Dregs had tweeted it out and that. I mean, what do you make of all that nonsense and gamesmanship, or are we talking too much about it already?
So, I mean, mostly I'm like, whatever, who cares? If the players don't care. Now, if it's Cousins and Stolarz who have played together and they're buddies, and every guy does that when they play in games, then it doesn't matter. We're going to find Hofer and Scheifele for staying on the ice too late to see who the last guy to step off is. Like, what does it matter? Now, if it's done to be a jerk and, like, you know, you're firing pucks into guys' skates as they're crossing over, trying to bug whatever, then, like, yeah, because I think you find them to say, don't do that, because we don't want that ever to escalate to who did Darcy Tucker go at the red line with one time? Was it Sean Avery? Right? Like,
yeah, it was Avery. Yeah, it was Avery.
That sort of interaction, stop shooting the puck, what are you going to do about it? All of a sudden there's an altercation at the red line in warm-up. You don't want it to get to that. So if it was done with any sort of irritable intent, then fine them, sure, and tell them don't do it anymore. If it was done for just being, hey, we're buds, I'm saying hello, then it's probably an overreaction.
Johnny, in terms of, like, which assist impressed you more? Game 1, Matthews to Marner, or last night, Marner to Matthews?
Jeez. Probably last night. Like, the Game 1 was nice because it was defense to offense, but last night, a lot of stuff happening there. Puck coming around the wall. It's spinning. You got to handle it. You got to see it. You got to lay it out there clean. You got to put it through the feet of whatever defender was coming at you. The goaltender, Paul Olmark, he's still on the right post looking for that thing. He still hasn't gone to the correct side of the net. That was beautiful. And that, you know, O and I have been in the studio a few nights. Like, in those big moments, yes, they've had Domi and Benoit randomly scoring game-winning goals, but you're looking for big plays in big moments and in tight games, in third periods. I haven't had a lot of that in years past. Just haven't had the difference-making plays. That was supremely skilled, difference-making play in a tie game, in a third period, your two best guys linking up and doing something special. That was pretty. That was a very, very nice pass.
Yeah, I would agree. That was so sick, man. Like, that was a beautiful play.
And totally intentional. Like, no sort of luck, oh, I caught it. No. He knew exactly what he was doing, what he was trying to do, and he pulled it off perfectly.
Well, like, Marner's had an interesting series because, like, I don't picture him, like, with the puck a ton. You know, he's not leading rushes or anything like that.
Because they're dumping it in too much.
Well, that's a big part of it, exactly. We can revisit that. You're right, but I think I was going to say, I think he's on the right side of the puck constantly. He's made beautiful plays in terms of, you know, finishing in Game 1, setting up Matthews last night. He's contributing on the power play. So it's just a different kind of look of what you would expect out of Marner, because, you know, 4 or 5 years ago it was like the expectations were, well, you better be a wizard out there. You know, you better do it. We've seen Patrick Kane do in the past, and that's not necessarily how it looks, but the point production is very high and very impressive, and he's playing with these habits and doing things along the boards that I think have contributed greatly to his team being up 3-0, and ultimately that's what Mitch and Auston and Willie, they need that more than anything. You have 25 points in the round. Who cares? If you lose in 7, it's irrelevant. You need to win, and I think, you know, there gets back to what we were talking about with Berube. They seem to be accepting those roles and I think contributing greatly.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of parts to it, right? One is exactly that, playing that way, buying in, not chasing points, just playing the way you're supposed to. Perhaps the Four Nations for Mitch had something to do with the comfort in tight games playing this way, because in the Four Nations, that's how he played, right? He didn't have the puck the whole game, just playing it smart, waiting for the time when your skill could come to the forefront. And then when it does, make it happen. He did it in overtime of the Four Nations. He did it last night in that nice pass. And the fact is, when the power play works, it makes it way more comfortable for the guys to play whatever you're asking them to do at 5-on-5, because they have a ton of points, and they don't feel bad about the points, and they're just trying to be responsible and trying to win. It's not that they're selfish in if they weren't getting points, but there's something about trying to create offense for the betterment of the team that when you do it, whatever power play or 5-on-5, if you get it, then you're not sort of pulling yourself in funny areas to try to chase it. So a lot of stuff coming together and working. And again, like, it's 3-0. They're very likely going to win the series. 2 overtime goals. This series could easily be 2-1 for Toronto. Could be 2-1 for Ottawa. It's not been a rout, but it doesn't matter. This is the playoffs, and I'll acknowledge this. I'm the ultimate process over results guy over the regular season. In the playoffs, that don't matter. All that matters is results. That's it. It is all about results. Who cares about the process? And right now, they're getting the results, and they're believing, and they got themselves in a really good spot to be done early and then catch their rest to get ready for the next round.
Well, and that next round, as of now, looks like it'll be Florida up 2-0 quick, man. They go into Tampa, and they take both games. There was video at the end of the game where Marchand and Bennett and Tkachuk are all together chirping the bench of Tampa. And you're watching that thinking, how is this real? Like, how are these
a three-headed puppet,
the worst of the worst? If you're a Panther fan, the greatest thing you've ever seen. But if you're a fan of any other team, you're like, really? Those three guys are now teammates?
Have we heard about Hagel? Where are you guys on the Hagel
Where
hit?
do you stand on that?
Hayes said 3 games. Noodles said 1.
I said 1.
Okay, I'm with Noodles. 100% suspension. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew exactly who he was doing to. He didn't care whether he touched the puck or not. He was going to hit him that hard no matter what.
Yeah.
Barkov never touched the puck. Players have to be protected.
So how do you get to only 1, Johnny, with that kind of assessment?
Because I've seen these same kind of hits. Hartman got Ehlers on 1 early in the year. Got 2 games in the regular season. 2 games in the regular season sort of equates out to be 1 in the playoffs. That's the standard they use. So I think history tells us this is 2. That then gets reduced to 1 because it's the playoffs. But I think it's 1. But again, if Barkov can't play, Tampa would almost take that trade, unfortunately. That's the way it goes.
Well, that's true. And, Florida's going to lay it on thick. We don't know if he can play. He's probably done.
Well, they've already, it's already – I thought I was reading that it says that Barkov's doubtful tomorrow, that type of stuff. I mean, they got to protect the player ultimately. They're up 2-0. But, you hope that he's all right. There was nobody debating, whether this was a suspendable play or not. It's 100% suspendable.
Tampa fans.
Oh, yeah. They're saying he should only get 2 last night.
Maybe just the 2. Overreaction. I'm like,
no. That's a suspension every day.
How much trouble could you get in, guys, if you posted fake videos like ambulances, stretchers?
Him with a neck brace
the guy up. Neck brace, Barkov jersey. Yeah.
Getting dropped
really struggling after that hit.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, you could. It depends. Listen, gamesmanship. Like, that's the thing. You see with that team, those 3 guys sitting there chirping. Like, Matthew Tkachuk is having the time of his life. Like, he is front and center in everything. Like, it's just.
Think of where he's at, Noodles. Other guys we've talked about, it's the playoffs. They're kind of, in awe, and they're under the gun, and they don't know how to figure it out. That guy hasn't played since February, and he just puts his jersey on. Obviously, he had to do a lot of prep work. And wheels out there and starts ripping home goals and running the power play and yelling at guys like it's just second. Yeah. Like, it's amazing how comfortable that guy is playing in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's it, right? Like, some guys, it's going to be hard. It's going to be different. For him, somehow it caters to his game and his personality better at the regular season, which is ultimate testament to him.
Oilers or Habs, better chance of getting back into this series?
I say Edmonton because the 2 guys. I think Edmonton is in more trouble. They're starting Cal Pickard. Noodle's my favorite, the least flexible goaltender in the league. He's had a good record, but he's an awkward-looking guy out there. The defense at home has been a mess. LA is rolling. So all the reasons not to pick Edmonton, but they got McDavid and they got Draisaitl, and those guys are good enough that they can do it sort of on their own with just a little bit of help. And go out and get back in the series. I don't think they're going to. And Montreal's been really close, but I just also think that Montreal's probably going to come up with just a bit short regardless. But, Edmonton is troubling, Hayes, if you're out there in Edmonton. Because think about, they're 2 games in. They've swapped their goaltenders. They've swapped their defense, and they're missing their glue guy, and he's not coming back. And they're not sure who's going to play with who and what the lines might be. And they're 2 games in. Everything is on the table. And they've played just 2 games. That's how poorly the first 2 have gone.
Yeah.
Add one thing to that. Have you seen, looking at the bracket, everything in the East is zeros and, potential sweeps. Everything in the West is at least, another team has won a game except for Edmonton. Now they got an opportunity. It's 2-1, 2-1, 2-1, 2-0 in the West. Everything out East is 3-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0. Like that,
which is what we kind of expected, didn't we? Because we thought the East was a little bit, I don't know, maybe not to this extent, but.
Oh, you don't have faith in your boys in Jersey tonight, Hazy?
No, I don't. I like Carolina.
Okay, so here's a question, Hayes, just quickly, and it's kind of spinning away, but Washington, Montreal, Carolina, New Jersey. We wake up tomorrow. Is it both 3-0, or is one team getting a? Is Jersey or Montreal getting?
I think the Habs.
Yeah, I could see the Habs winning.
I said that the other night too, but they've been in game. Montembeau's playing very well, and I think that building, them feeding off that building. I guess you could argue the same thing with Jersey. Jersey's going to win game. I don't think Jersey's going to get swept. So, but I think I came into it fully expecting Washington and Carolina would win those series, and I thought Toronto would win. Florida and Tampa I thought was coin flip, and I don't think that's over yet, but it's clearly you're in a dark place if you're Tampa right now. So the chalk is winning, where, at West that's not the case because now Minnie's up 2-1 and LA's up 2-0 and, there's
St. Louis.
St. Louis is pushing and Dallas is there.
13 in a row at home, guys. 13 in a row at home for St. Louis. Very quietly. That series could get tight if St. Louis wins the next game. That could be very interesting and a brutal, and we talked about it before, like the fact that Winnipeg has to play a team as good and as hot as St. Louis in the first round after being the best team in the league, that sucks for them, but St. Louis is putting up the test we thought they would.
Well, Noodles, we haven't mentioned Hellebuck yet, but where do we stand on him? Three games.
I thought they were they were outclassed last night in watching that game. Like, you talked about that start. Like that, St. Louis looked like they had 7 players on the ice against. Like, honest to God, everywhere Winnipeg's D turned, they were getting run over from both sides. Like, it was an energetic start by St. Louis.
They just have to turn it around like they did in Game 2 and say the party's over, guys, and that's it.
Exactly. I think it's a bad night, but Hellebuck. Little shaky game 1, but they won. Game 2, I thought he was rock solid. Last night, I think it's to burn the tape for them and regroup. I'm more worried about Vegas's goaltending than I am.
Yeah.
Than I am Hellebuck, because Vegas plays a certain way because Adin Hill plays a certain way.
Jamie, isn't it crazy looking at Vegas's goaltending and then look at what that guy did in Washington the other night, Logan Thompson? It was like, you watch that guy play a good game, you're like, how could anybody not have them as their... And I know he's like the late bloomer and he's not the traditional stud goaltender, but damn, he was good in Game 2 against Montreal.
There's a few... I'm now, go back a while, and he wasn't the goaltender he is now, but... Anthony Stolarz played in Anaheim. He played in Edmonton. He played in, he's played in
Philly.
Philly. He's, it takes a while and the right situation, but it's just some of those fan bases are going, boy, it'd be nice to have that guy here. It happens, but I still think Vegas recovers. They're a veteran team. They might have taken Minnie a little light. They can't do that now because this Minnie team can play. But there's some interesting storylines. This Winnipeg-St. Louis one, this might be closer than people think. Like, that St. Louis team, like to your point, Johnny, they can play. And this Dallas-Colorado, I can't get a read on it. I thought Colorado was going to, take them, and they've been beat twice in overtime.
Overtime games make it all close. Couple quick thoughts, though. The Mini thing. Not only the goalies, Gustafsson versus whatever Hill has done, but also – when you got Kaprizov, best player for Minnesota, has got 7 points, lighting it up every game. Eichel's nothing, -5 in 3 games. Like, you take your best player and outplay him. You take the goaltender, outplay him. You're probably going to be ahead in the series. Minnesota's in a good spot there. And to bring it back to Stolarz, not only is he making the saves, which we, at least like, but his demeanor, he looks like he's having a blast in there. Like, the smiling and the bumping the brag and all, he looks, for a guy who's never really played as the guy in the playoffs, he looks so unfazed by whatever's going on or whatever pressure there may allegedly be, because he looks like he's feeling none of it. And as a player, I would feed off of that. Like, look at our goalie. He looks so at ease with everything going on around him. Why would we get stressed out when he's not stressed out? I just think not only the saves, but his sort of the energy he's given off, the demeanor is one that oozes just, it's going to be okay. Don't worry about it. I'm not worried about it, so you guys don't worry about it. I got it, which is a good place to be.
Massive advantage, man. Like, if you're winning the goalie confidence meter, Like, that one is really significant. Like, the deserve to win a meter, not necessarily. Goalie confidence meter, that one matters. That
Johnny,
one matters.
quickly, we always throw one little mini Jerry at you. Here's your mini Jerry for this Friday. The Leafs advance, the Florida Panthers advance, or any team from Florida. It's the Toronto Maple Leafs that advance to the quarterfinals. Mini Jerry.
You set it up so well. I think you meant semifinals, but I would say if the Leafs.
I don't think you need to add that, but go ahead.
I'm just saying you set it up so nicely. We'd have to do a redo on the voiceover. I would say the Leafs play Florida, toss up. Leafs play Tampa, 56% likelihood they win. So I have to do it based on opponent. But I'm going to give them toss up against Florida, which I think at this point is almost
You'll take
compliment to Toronto,
yes,
because you'll take those odds with home ice. That it's basically a pick 'em.
Yeah, I think that's a positive little mini Jerry for Leaf fans.
Got me kind of fired up for your exit. I'm kind of feeling good right now.
See,
have
there
a
we
good
go.
weekend.
Kumbaya on the way out. That's how we
There it
operate
is.
here, right? Hardcore
Punch them on the
journalism.
way in,
Yeah,
have them on the way out.
that's right. That's how we roll, man. It's always the way it works here. Thank you, Johnny. Good catching up with you, man. We'll do it again next week.
All right, I gotta lick my wounds all weekend, and I'll talk to you guys next week.
Can't wait. There he is, Mike Johnson, our TSN hockey analyst, joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline.
Allowed him to recover after you two just buffoons just attacked him to start to defend yours. What you said to, I'm like, we haven't even brought him in yet.
It's a serious program we run here.
Exactly. And we are dead serious people.
Yeah,
Yes,
they expect
we're very
serious
serious
stuff from us. So that's what we try to bring.
Love it, yeah.
Mail-in and Friday brought to you by Boston Pizza, Canada's favorite sports bar. This playoff season, Boston Pizza is planning the parade and has a new all-star playoffs menu for you to enjoy. For pizza, pints, and puck drops, visit your local Boston Pizza today. It was nice to see Boston Pizza yesterday, a big drop-off yesterday. It was great. I accidentally went in for one of those wings, not thinking it was sauced up, and it was. And I paid a serious price.
I want to know one thing, guys. And Doogie, if you're in studio, or JP, who took all the food home? Because somebody did. Like, it just didn't stay there. Somebody threw that stuff in a duffel bag and took it home.
There was a couple people taking some stuff home. I know JP took some pizza home. I know Brian took the wings home.
I had the wings, but they were so hot I couldn't eat them.
Oh,
I didn't realize they were the spicy
mention that
wings.
one, did you?
Yeah.
Did you? As soon as the fan went to bed, you got up and went to your car and turned on the microwave and just went to town.
They were so hot I couldn't even eat them.
Oh,
It was
you
a
tried
waste.
the
I thought they were.
crazy one.
I thought they were mild, and that the dip that Doogie was—that's the hot sauce, but it was actually coated in that, and I just didn't have the stomach for it. So,
Doogie, how was that sauce? Do you need to borrow the triple stack underpants, or how are you feeling?
I may need to put those on after that. They were really good, but just extremely hot. My mouth is still
extremely
burning.
Spicy. Yeah, you handled it like a champ, though, Doogie Pritchard.
Thanks, boys.
But yeah, good to hear JP with a couple wheels on the way out.
Oh, yeah.
As he
Couple
should.
slices.
As he should. Everyone taking care of business. All right, we've got Ryan Rishaug coming up. We got Keegan Matheson from Yankee Stadium. Check in on the Jays before a big series against the Yankees.
Maybe he should go hit for those guys.
They could use Keegan in the box tonight. He might be bad at cleanup for them tonight.
Yeah.
Dear Hazy being an hour. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. All right, it's going to be a good one tonight. We got round 2 of the NFL draft. Everyone's buzzing about Shedeur Sanders.
Dude, apparently this cat might have had the worst interviews of all time. I'm just going by like NFL scoops on Twitter, and how else does a guy fall like that?
Well, here's the thing, right? Like he's Dion's kid, which means because you can't have it both ways. Where on one end, the reason everyone knows him is because of Dion originally. Like that's why it's such a high profile. And I haven't seen him play a ton. I've seen him play a little bit. Looks like a good player. I don't know enough, though, obviously, to determine should he go first, should he go in the second round, third round, who knows. But the reason he gets the profile and the attention, and I think the scouting and everything that comes with that is because he is Deion Sanders' kid. But then you can't flip it and say, well, the reason he's not getting picked is because he's Deion Sanders' kid. Like, you can't have it both ways. that you get the profile. You get a lot of money that comes with that, with NIL and all that kind of stuff that I'm sure was happening at Colorado. And he's going to get drafted. And ultimately, eventually he's going to get into camp and he's got to perform. And it doesn't matter where you get drafted in the end. It sucks for him. Like, it sucks. And he's putting on a good face.
There is a Bronny James element to this where it's like there have been people that have went on the TV and said, there are some teams concerned about this or that or the other thing or attitude or interview. And they followed it up with at the end of their comments, they'd be like, I just don't think this guy's that good.
Well, that's at the forefront of it all.
Yes,
I'm sorry, there's
numerous
not some
times throughout the night, whether it be on Twitter or on the television, I heard a guy say, I actually just don't think he's that good, and that's why this is happening.
Right.
So it's like maybe he's just not that good.
There's not a conspiracy against Shedeur Sanders. That's not how the NFL operates. No sport league operates that way. If he was a lock superstar, he would have been picked first overall, second, third, fourth, fifth. That's just the way it goes. And eventually he will get picked. I'm sure it will be tonight, and he'll have an opportunity to play. And maybe in 15 years you look back and say, man, a lot of teams missed. Use it as a chip on your shoulder. I hope he does that.
But, Hayes, I read something today that the quarterback being drafted in the second round is, very rare.
Well, it's different in terms of the opportunity you're going to get, B, how much money you're going to get, C, the rope that you're going to have in order to actually save the jobs of the GM that took you, the coach that took you, right? If a GM takes someone in the top 10, they have to force that guy into playing. That guy's got to work.
Right.
You become a second or third round pick, you're a project, right? Especially at that position. It's different. Like if you're
does
a top
everyone
10
go
pick,
back
you
to
play.
his house tonight, or?
Yeah, that's the weird thing. I guess so, man. I get if you're Dion and company, you got to support the guy. He's going to get drafted. It's a big moment. It's too bad because of who he is.
Yeah.
And because of his dad, it became a massive story. It was the story of the night.
And it was kind of unfair to the kid. Like if it was any other kid, it'd be like, I hope I get drafted and maybe this can work out. Instead, there was this guy was. So I don't know. It was
that
nuts.
was unfortunately, we talked about it yesterday. Laramie Tunsil. This was the shock of the night, technically, correct?
Well, it depends on who you talk to. Again, Mel Kiper Jr. was talking about him all night, that he's the best guy. How could he not be going? But then, as Zoe pointed out, others are like, yeah, he's a good player. Like, he's a really good player. But he's not – you look at the great college quarterbacks, no, he's not at that level. He wasn't at that level.
Right.
All right, we've got Game 3 tonight in Edmonton. Calvin Pickard making a start. I think it's the right play. I think the three of us expected this to happen. I said I thought he should have played Game 2. Here's Ryan Rishaug, our TSN Edmonton Oiler reporter. What is the mood like going into tonight's game, Ryan?
The mood. Well, what do you want to talk? You want to talk fans?
Yes, the fans in Edmonton.
Nervous. It's nervous, intense. I think that both the fan base, and I would extend this to the team, I think the fact that they basically have a must-win game this early is jarring. I think it is very jarring for the fans, and I think it's jarring for this team. This is not the way that they were supposed to go, and to be sitting there, we were interviewing McDavid today, and it was almost like it is a must-win. I mean, this is the third playoff game of their playoff year, and they have to win this already. And I think it's jarring for them and for fans.
Shagger, what about the decor they're all over the map right now, and Ekholm is a big-time loss, but I don't think under any circumstances your decor should be that much in shambles with the absence of one player. You look at Heiskanen and Robertson in Dallas, it's not like a complete yard sale out there where everybody's wondering how they're going to survive. How do you explain that, and how do they recover from this Ekholm not be playing?
Yeah, okay. So when Ekholm goes down, there's a lot to pick up, right? Everybody needs to pick up a little bit of slack. He's the best two-way defender they have. He's their best defenseman. So, it's a big deal. Evan Bouchard showed last year in the playoffs that he can be an amazing offensive defenseman. But if you guys recall, he was also out defending leads in the last minute of games.
He was unreal.
Played excellent defensively during the playoffs last year. He showed everybody he can do it. Well, he hasn't done that this year. He Certainly didn't do it in Game 1. Wasn't a ton better in Game 2, though he didn't have the same number of flat-out gaffes. So I guess what I would say is there are some guys that have more to give. And what they need from them will help make up for Mattias Ekholm not being in there. So Bouchard needs to dig in his own end in a more meaningful way. Wallman, he's newer. Wallman's playing hurt. I think he's working his way through something. Wouldn't surprise me if it was a groin. He didn't play towards the end of the season, missed a bunch of games. Klingberg just came back in. He, obviously we all know what he's been through. So not only are they missing their best guy, the guys they do have are somewhat banged up, and then you got some underachieving, and the amount they're giving up it's staggering how much they're giving up against.
What about, Darnell Nurse is a guy that, everyone talks about his contract. But if you look at it, some of the systematic play, I heard your interview with McDavid and interviewing him this morning, and to me, the forwards can help out, but you also have to have some form of urgency. Do you not? I feel like, and I brought it up about other teams, in other series. They got to be playing playoff hockey, and I've still seen some regular season play and intensity out of players. And if you watch this Edmonton LA, you got to give credit to the LA Kings. But, but also, there are players on the Edmonton Oilers that are playing regular season hockey when it's the playoffs. And to me, that desperation isn't there. And that's not just, third and fourth line players. I'm talking about Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and Hyman looks snake bit, and I look at Darnell Nurse, at Evan Bouchard. I don't know, for some of these brain dead plays that he makes, I don't know what's going on, but it's just, to me, there has to be some urgency in their game, or else, a really good LA team, not just an average team, a really good LA team is going to take this series from them.
Well, the LA Kings hit the ice every night, and they know exactly what they are. They know what the recipe is for success. They know what their strengths are. They know what their weaknesses are. They generally know what their D pairings and forward units look like, and they roll them out. And they dealt with some injuries and such here and there, but really there was some consistency there. Anybody have any idea what the Edmonton Oilers are? Any clue?
It's
they're not
McDavid and Draisaitl.
Exactly, it's two guys.
They're McDavid and they're Draisaitl, and they're a power play that's supposed to be brilliant. That's been, by their standards, average most of the year. And I mean, they're not doing very well here in the playoffs. So it's what are they? They didn't have their players together in the lineup down the stretch. They've added two players in Kane and Frederick that basically haven't played all year. So are they a physical team? Is that their identity? Do they skate fast and hit hard? Well, they haven't for most of the year. Guys, there's no continuity. There is zero continuity on this group because of the injuries and because of the late additions. And so, when you go out and start playing a game, it's okay, let's get to our game right away. What is that? What is the Oiler game? Try not to get scored on until McDavid and Draisaitl can get out there. I don't see this line after line over the boards Oiler style hockey. It's a myth. It's not there.
So is that because the front office fumbled this? Is it that the coach isn't pushing the right buttons? What I'm hearing and what I'm seeing is that McDavid and Draisaitl have more pressure to do more than they ever have, or at least since they first got to the playoffs. I don't think it
should be that way, Hayes.
And that's the thing. If anything, shouldn't it be going the opposite way, where they can rely on more guys deeper into their career?
Yeah, well, let's look at the support guys that were brought in. Arvidsson, it was not a good year for Victor Arvidsson. Jeff Skinner eventually came around, for the opportunity he got, scored a decent number of goals. He's not even in the lineup. For Nugent-Hopkins, down year offensively. Zach Hyman, down year offensively. They lost so much speed and enthusiasm from their lineup. It was tough to overcome that. If you want speed and enthusiasm, so Warren Fogle is speed and enthusiasm. Dylan Holloway, speed and enthusiasm. Oh, and by the way, scoring at a top 6 rate now. Just a brilliant season from him. Ryan McLeod, who you trade away. To lose all three of those players in 1 year and to replace them with guys who have largely underachieved and aren't as fast, a lot of mojo. This is not the same team they carried into the playoffs last year. They're older and they're slower. Now, they're more experienced in some ways. And I'm not saying that they can't win a game against the LA Kings tonight, but guys, They've got lines that have not consistently played together because of injuries. They got multiple guys that didn't play all year that are now in their top 7-8 forwards. And it's just, so it's not like they've got all this continuity. And they will say, well, yeah, but, they've got experience. And so it shouldn't be that big a deal. Well, so far, they're getting schooled. And you got to give the LA Kings a lot of credit here. But the Oilers did not hit the playoffs in any sort of groove. They have not found that groove. And they have been getting absolutely stomped on special teams. And I didn't hear anybody coming into this series picking the LA Kings because they thought the Kings' special teams would be dominant. I don't know if anybody said that. It's mind-boggling the way this has gone.
Rish, do you think that the fact that McDavid and Draisaitl are so good, it could sway a GM into saying, we're going to just get rid of these young guys and move on if somebody wants to offer them contracts because we have Draisaitl and McDavid, and we'll just go on the scrap heap and we'll grab a Podkolzin, an Arvidsson, and a Skinner, and we've got McDavid and Draisaitl, so it'll all be fine. And that might be where the problems lie.
Yeah, I wouldn't say, that they thought to themselves, we're okay to downgrade certain portions of our lineup because those guys are so strong. Each of them, they kind of happen in a bit of a vacuum, right? So Warren Foegele, I watched for a number of years as Warren Foegele struggled to be a top 9 forward on this team. I mean, he spent a lot of time on a fourth line.
Yeah.
Eventually kind of worked his way to a third line position, never really worked in the top 6, and, he wanted $3-4 million bucks. So it's I don't mind the fact that they said Arvidsson in, Foegele out. That's basically what they did. Arvidsson's had a brutal year, right? The Ryan McLeod trade, they were really disappointed with his playoff performance, didn't feel that he could elevate competitively, and they decided to make that change and bring in a younger prospect, in Savoy from Buffalo. I agreed with that change. But where it fell off, guys, is Dylan Holloway. I would have never gotten rid of Warren Foegele if you knew Dylan Holloway wasn't coming back. I would have never traded Ryan McLeod if you knew Dylan Holloway wasn't coming back. That was the one, guys. That was crushing to this organization. They made the wrong decision, and it crushed them this year. So I don't think they did it on purpose, but when you combine those three things together and then look at what's kind of lacking through their lineup right now, it adds up.
Yeah, it sure does. Well, their backs are up against the wall. We'll see what comes of it tonight. Game 3 in Edmonton. Enjoy it, Ryan. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, for sure, guys. And I'm sure you've said this, Noodles, but I'm here to tell you guys, it does not matter who plays in net tonight. If the Oilers don't cut down on the high-quality chances against and the bad mistakes, it's not going to matter. It is not going to matter. This was not about Stuart Skinner. This is about the rest of the team.
Well, there you go. They're going with Pickard tonight, so we'll see what he's got in store. Thanks, Ryan.
You bet.
Ryan Rishaug. Yeah, we didn't even ask him about Pickard. We've been talking so much about.
But you're right. But I would add that Pickard has at least been more consistent this season. So I'm not letting Stuart Skinner off the hook because we talked about it yesterday. Quinton Byfield, beautiful goal. You need at some point a big save. That's what you need. And Skinner in the first 2 games didn't provide that. Pickard at least, especially down the stretch. I mean, he won 22 games for them this year. It wasn't like he was their backup. He ended up playing a ton of games. I think there's a trust factor and something. It might be even a mental thing, guys. Is like somebody different in there. We're trying at least. We're not going to roll out the same thing. So
I think it's insane. Just through the transactions that he was describing, I think it's insane management. Really crazy stuff to have a team go to the Stanley Cup Finals and then move away from youth, enthusiasm, and scoring punch. Like who would ever think like that? That's crazy to me. A team that went to the finals and is going to need energy, speed, enthusiasm. And you had such a priority to bring that fourth line or third line back, and it was like
the Holloway one. I understand. He laid it out like the other two. You could, but the Holloway one was like Ryan McLeod.
Had to keep him.
They didn't. McLeod didn't block shots. He wasn't physical. Like they could move from him. I don't think they had a problem with Foegele. It's the Holloway one. And I think that was arrogance. Them thinking that he would sign, and he didn't. He took an offer sheet.
And then they could have matched it, and they still didn't do that.
They didn't. That's arrogance.
Which is crazy. Yeah, you're right. I think that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
All right, Overdrive continues with Keegan Matheson coming up. Dear Hazy B as well. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. All right, Keegan Matheson from Yankee Stadium. Doesn't sound like Dalton Varsho is going to return to the team this weekend. He's still in AAA today, and I don't think the weather's looking great this weekend down in New York, so they probably wait until Tuesday. They're back home at the Rogers Center against the Red Sox.
Imagine wanting that guy back on your roster, like, desperately.
Yes, they do. And, again, he may step into the lineup, start hitting second, third, fourth, and, he's not exactly Mickey Mantle, but Varsho, they need help. And they, defensively, they can always use a little bit of help. There's just so much pressure on the starting pitchers every night recently. They've lost 5 in a row. They're not.
Remember last year, as the pitchers started bitching and complaining about the offense, they were like, what the hell do you want us to do out there? Like, we give up 2, we're done.
That's where they are right now.
Yes.
Like, it literally not. It's like Barrios is going in there tonight against Aaron Judge and the Yankees, and he cannot give up runs.
No.
He can't.
Yeah, and they're running out of time for the old "it's coming" exit velo and all this garbage.
Yeah,
they're running out of time,
25 games
man.
in. Let's go here.
I know.
Let's go.
Here. Have a good series.
Well, you've been saying "let's go" for 2 weeks, so you're out of time too.
I understand.
I know.
All right, Keegan coming up, and we'll look ahead to Game 4 tomorrow night. Leafs Sens as well. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.